All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Soft Elbows. I'm Steve Yonda. Joining me from the floor of a gym somewhere
Yep,
is your favorite co-host, Abby Richards. Abby, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm glad that you picked up right away that I'm sitting on the floor and propping my phone up on top of a box.
Don't hurt your shins. All right. Tonight we will be recapping the Just Strong Open. We'll be talking about a couple of topics. One topic we discussed in last episode we did. Another topic we are going to discuss it tonight, and then hopefully with a very special guest discuss it again in a little bit more depth on our next episode. And then we're going to talk about a little American Open Finals preview. Abby, how you feeling?
Well, I'm excited for finals and to not be in the frigid cold. As you can see, I'm a little bit of a baby about the weather changes right now. So, very much looking forward to a warm weather retreat down in Daytona next weekend.
Okay. Before we get to that, we were both at Just Strong Open.
We were.
I mean, you were working hard in the back, and I was just I don't know,
He's just Ken.
gallivanting in the front with all my friends.
Steve was just being a celebrity, and his presence was the present to all of us.
What were your thoughts? What did you think?
I thought it was great. It's really cool to see how the Just Strong Open has grown year over year. For those of you that don't know, our friends over at DC Weightlifting put on a women's competition out of their gym in Petworth, which is in DC. They do an unsanctioned session for those who are just dipping their toes into Olympic weightlifting, or who have done it before but maybe don't really want to fully commit to a membership at USA Weightlifting. And then they do other sessions for novice lifters, for master lifters, and everybody in between. And so it's been really cool to see how this went from a smaller meet last year to I think they had 3 sessions this year, and it was a really, really, really great time. Some lifters I wanted to highlight, of course, my teammates at DC Barbell. We had several people who did their first competition ever. Valentina Rangel, she did awesome. I think she went 3 for 6, got herself a total. Really nice. I see her work really hard in the gym every day, so it was really cool that she, finally got out on the platform. My friend May Kipnis went out and had herself a day. I think she went 4 or 5 for 6. She did a really, really great job. It was her second competition. Her first was WSO, but this was definitely by far, a much better competition for her. And so I was really, really glad that she got the day that she deserved. My friend Carla Chang went out and had a good day. And my friend Trish Zygmunt as well. She had an awesome day after not training as consistently. Sorry, words are hard, as she may have liked. So great job to everybody who competed. And then another gal that I want to shout out is going to be Yaz Youssef. Seeing Yaz grow as a lifter over the past, year and some change has been really awesome. She started out, I don't think she had a really great start into weightlifting. Like, her first two competitions, I'm pretty sure did not go as she had intended, or may have wanted. But I mean, that girl works hard. She shows up, and she's the poster child of consistency at training. And she seems to fit right in at CHFP, and she had herself a really, really great day, Steve, as far as I could see.
I mean, she hit a qualifying total for the American Open Series, so I would say that's a
Hey,
pretty good.
okay. I'd
Not
say
bad.
so too. Yeah, that's awesome.
So hopefully we'll be seeing her crushed again at the Arnold here in a couple months.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
you left out, perhaps on purpose, one more person we want to highlight, and we'll in fact be highlighting her in depth later in this show. Cheryl Jackson had a very important performance. It wasn't her first meet, not even close. She's been around the weightlifting scene locally for several years, but I think this meet had a little bit more of a special meaning for her. And I look forward to you guys staying tuned for the second half of this episode where we talk to Cheryl about kind of her recent journey that only tangentially included weightlifting. That really wasn't the primary focus for a while, but it ended with her being able to get back out on the platform, and it was just it was very really awesome to get to talk to her and to hear her story.
Absolutely.
Um, Anybody else? Do we want to? I think we should shout out. I know you talked about the fact that DC Weightlifting hosts this meet and kind of how it's grown, but that group, DC Weightlifting, is unique in that, and Cheryl talks about this a little bit, but DC Weightlifting is a unique club because the people kind of run themselves. They don't have like the formal structure of you think of a club, right? And you think of maybe the club has a director and maybe a couple of coaches or just one coach. Either way, like there's like a central flow to it, and that's not been the case for DC Weightlifting in recent years. It's much more, I don't know, democratic. I don't know. I don't know how the best way to describe it. But the one thing that I think enables them to continue to thrive as a local club is that they all are just super supportive of every person that's part of the club and very supportive of the entire community. They host the Just Strong Open. They host Cap City, which I have very much on the record. It's my favorite local meet every year. And when when other teams have meets, they always make sure to represent and to volunteer their time there as well. So I love it when they put on anything, but I particularly thought this was a well-run meet for them. Any other thoughts on Just Strong Open before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that had great days that we didn't shout out. So, that to no slight of anybody, I thought you all did amazing, and it was really, really fun again to just watch everyone put themselves out there. And I hope to see all of those lifters in the future. But yeah, I think I'm ready to shift over
All
to
right.
more controversial topics.
Yeah. So this next topic we touched on in the last episode. We talked about Wes Kitts and his decision to be part of a league. League? I don't. Is it a league?
Federation, maybe
It's
organization.
part. He's now doing a thing where he's just going to openly use performance enhancing drugs and show off more so than going to the Olympics was showing. I don't know.
The Olympics
Anyway,
twice. Don't forget the Olympics twice, Steve.
sure, the Olympics twice. That wasn't enough showing off. He had to keep reminding us that he's just better than the rest of us, and he's
Yeah.
going to do that by taking performance enhancing drugs and lifting in this, I don't know, club or gathering, an entity.
Steve loves this so much. Can you all tell?
So perhaps there was a ripple effect here, and I don't. I want to be clear. The person who we're talking about is a guy named Dylan Cooper. He's been weightlifting for many years. He was a very talented lifter. Was a very talented lifter. Remains a talented lifter. I think he's based out of Texas now. Is that correct?
I don't know. All I know is that he also coaches. He's got a pretty strong social media presence. I mean, I feel like most people know who Dylan Cooper is at this point. If you are involved in weightlifting and you're online, you've seen him at meets. He's around. He's around.
I never assume that weightlifters are more famous than I think they should. Like I just try to remember that like it's like you and I are in
I don't know.
weightlifting, and I think sometimes we assume like, oh my god, everybody knows Dylan Cooper, and I'm sure that there are people who watch this podcast. My mom, for instance, who's like, I don't know who Dylan Cooper is.
That's right, our biggest fan.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know him on a personal level. I have interacted with him a very small handful of times several years ago. So I don't know if his decision was inspired in part or in total or to any degree by any of the things involving Wes Kitts or the league that they're trying to get started up, or if it was an idea that has been floating around in his head for some time, independent of all of that. But he, this past week, made a post on social media that he announced he's going to start using performance enhancing drugs. And uh, I guess I'm more curious than anything else because one of the things that he said in his post is that he is going to give this. I think he said a couple of months under the um, under the eye of what he deems to be, trained professionals, and he wants to see what he's capable of. And I guess I'm curious about several things here. One, so like when he says he's going to do it under the eye of like trained professionals, like what does that mean? Like, is he going to have a team of doctors or scientists, or like I don't know what his team is going to consist of. So one, I'm curious what that means. But two, when he says that he wants to he wants to find out what he's capable of, I just want to know what that means. When I think like someone's going to find out what they're capable of, I don't often associate that with them using tools that, by anyone else's standards, would be against the rules, and in some cases against the law. It just seems like two competing things in my mind. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I'm just being obtuse. I just like we're not going to find out what Dylan Cooper is capable of. Dylan's not going to find out what Dylan Cooper is capable of. Dylan's going to find out what he can do when he uses tools that are against the rules. And I don't know that those two things are one and the same. Like if he PRs, perhaps he will PR on one or multiple lifts, maybe by a lot. Will he walk away from that and think to himself, well, that's really what I'm capable of? His physical body did it. Like he's got to be skilled to still perform the technical aspects of the movement. But does he walk away from that and think like this is what I'm capable of? Or is there like a small asterisk even in his mind where like this is what I'm capable of when I use the things that give me more than what I would otherwise be able to do? I don't know.
Yeah. All honestly, like all good thoughts, Steve. And like like I said last week, I'm typically under the realm of, my body, my choice. And while I appreciate the transparency, that whatever he's going to post and do over the next X amount of days, weeks, months, whatever, is going to be under the help of performance enhancing drugs, and he's not masquerading as like, oh yeah, I just work hard and eat unseasoned chicken. Like I appreciate that level of transparency. um I do worry, kind of like what Steve said last week, of the example it sets, because to my earlier point, Dylan is one of the more affluent weightlifters within the community. I mean, he has hundreds of thousands of followers. He has the dog pack, his coaching service that he does, his team. Right, he's got followers, he's got fans. He's a very, very influential guy within the weightlifting world. And, kind of what Steve was talking about last week, it does open Pandora's box. I mean, Dylan competed for Team USA. It is once again, I think, a really bad look for USA weightlifting, and USA weightlifting is once again the loser in all of this. I could give a fuck about what someone else puts into their body and what they do, and his intentions. Like, I'm not here to judge or to say he's in the right or in the wrong, but I can't help but feel that USA weightlifting once again has got to be frustrated. And I do think that there's going to be a ripple, as more and more people do this. And like, one of the things that surprised me when I saw the post was just going through the comments, and also just, you can see who likes the post too, right? And like, I was surprised by some of the people that are very much in support of this, and just once again are members of the USA weightlifting community. They're higher level athletes. And so I just kind of, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. All I know is that I think there are going to be some ripples, out of all of this, that, USA weightlifting, should prepare for, should buckle down for. And, or I don't know, maybe they don't care. Who's to say? But those were my initial reactions, was just that I was surprised by the people that are in support of this. And to Steve's earlier point too, I did look at the post, and I know that, and just in talking to other people, and Dylan himself is pretty transparent that he's been using peptides, which I don't know what that means. I do know that it's allegedly a banned substance. I don't know what peptides means. I don't know what effect that. Like, I don't know these things.
Allegedly a banned substance?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. Okay, it stresses me out. And again, I appreciate the degree of honesty, right? That his lifts he posted about how he's like, some of them have been assisted by peptides, and I've been told that he's doing peptides, and I think that's PED adjacent. I don't know. So again, while I appreciate the honesty and that he's not masking it as, look how great I am just by myself, and he's not like hiding it, he's owning it. But at the same time, when you own it, once again, I think there are going to be ripples within USA weightlifting that they may not be prepared for. I don't know.
Just for everyone who's listening, to my knowledge, and I'm happy to be wrong, but I don't think that I am. Most peptides are banned. I believe that there are a select few that might not be. So I guess it depends on which kind he's been using.
What is a peptide, please?
We're getting a little bit above my knowledge
Sorry.
base. My understanding is that they help with the release of certain hormones, which can have a performance enhancing effect.
Understood.
That is probably the most comfortable statement the
know,
statement I'm most comfortable
okay.
making, because
I don't,
again,
I don't need more details. That makes enough sense for me.
In a broad sense, I think that's what they
Right.
do. And again, please feel free to let us know if I'm talking out of my ass. It wouldn't be the first time, and I promise won't be the last.
Won't be the last. And I know that he also hasn't competed. Like, he was supposed to compete at the Arnold in like 2024 or something, and he hasn't competed. So at this point, like, he is doing all of this recreationally, and he's doing it for himself, which, like, great. Like, guy enjoys weightlifting. Again, once again, I was very surprised by some of the support he has by active USA weightlifting members within his comments and in the likes of this post.
Yeah, and listen, I want, for any of those folks, whether you're a notable lifter or not, I would love to hear people's thoughts on this. Like, maybe you and I are in the minority, maybe everyone else is thinking about this in a way that you and I aren't considering. I'm open to people reaching out and letting us know, help us be less ignorant to our opinions. I guess while you were talking, because you brought up something that I thought was interesting, kind of the potential for the ripple effect. So Dylan runs Dozer Weightlifting, and that Instagram page has 173,000 followers, which again, as far as weightlifters go, pretty good. That is one or two more than you and I have on our individual pages. Just one or two. But I don't know whether Dylan's decision was impacted at all by Wes's decision. And I just
he says in the post, Steve, that he's always thought of this, that when he's like done and ready to give it up, that he wanted to do something like this. So I do think it's independent of Wes's decision. Who's to say? Who's really to say?
Things can be true at once. It can be something that he has thought about, and also he saw someone else do it and was encouraged. I mean, this is how there are many things that
that was what we had talked about last week, was that one person sees it and then another person does it.
And that's why I looked up his number of followers. I mean, that's a ton of people who have varying degrees of knowledge about this issue and varying resources, right? Like, so let's get back to whatever team of people Dylan's going to have consulting him on this. Mm-hmm. I wonder if how of any of his followers or people who hear about this who are inspired by his decision to do it and want to try doing it themselves, will they have the same resources that he has? And I just worry about the danger and the consequences for the people who, frankly, I have worries about people doing it at all. But if you're going to do it, I want you to do it in the most intelligent and safe way possible. And I know that not everybody's resource bank is created equal. So
for sure.
I mean, there are, you can agree or disagree with them, but there are reasons why there are rules prohibiting this stuff. It's because people who are pretty intelligent have determined that these things are not safe. Like
Right.
like if if it was something that people that scientists like that people that are trained, educated in this, they've spent their career studying this. If it was something that the community of them believed was safe and productive, then it wouldn't be illegal. Like if people thought that meth was like good for you, it wouldn't be illegal. They would be encouraging. They'd be like, "Hey, everybody, go use meth right now." But they're not. Like
We're not telling you to do that. Don't take that out of
no, I'm not.
context.
I'm for sure
No,
not
no,
telling.
no.
I'm just trying to make a point. Like I just don't. It's frustrating that it's like cool to clap back against a community that has spent their entire careers
Yeah.
studying this stuff and forming recommendations that we're just like, well, yeah, but I mean, like I read online that's totally fine.
Right.
So, and I also, to your point about the transparency aspect, I hear you, but also that doesn't hold a lot of
I
currency
know.
for me
No, and that's fair.
because
And that's fair.
if we're describing transparency as openly flaunting your abuse of or outright disregard for the rules, um, I would posit that perhaps we've seen other examples of that not going great for entire communities. And I just like that's not transparency to me. That's you just saying like, fuck you, fuck the rules, and like, I'm going to do what I want. That I guess that is technically a form of transparency, but it's just not. It's a little bit disingenuous in my mind.
That's fair.
Any other thoughts on this?
Mm, no, and also, we're Steve and I are obviously here for this discussion. I can assure you that nobody is going to change our minds on our stances on this issue, but we are here for the discussion, and that's my parting gift of drugs.
All right. Another topic that has, again, I think we should explain this because I don't think it's safe to assume that
Social
everyone
media
who's.
really popped off 2 weeks for the last 2 weeks, guys.
I think that we should explain this because I don't
Yes.
think that
Let me
it is safe to assume that everyone has heard
Yeah.
about this.
I'll
So, Abby,
explain. Let me explain this one because you
okay.
explained the last one.
All
All
right.
right. And I was pretty fired up when I texted Steve about this too. So all right. As we all, well, I shouldn't say we all. Let me start over. I'm doing a bad job already of explaining this. So, American Open Finals. Typically, it is the final national level competition of the year for USA weightlifting. This year they are holding it jointly with the Masters Federation. Is it Worlds, Steve, that they're doing?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So it's the Masters Worlds that is being run at the same meet as American Open Finals for USA weightlifting. So they have also expanded those masters categories, which are typically 35 and up. They now have expanded into a 30 to 35-year-old category as a way of growing the masters community and really ramping people into their masters career once they are post open. And so there have been some athletes that have, opted to do the Masters meet as opposed to doing American Open. There have been athletes who are doing um, both competitions. They're signed up for both. They'll be lifting once, but their totals will score for each competition. And everyone has varying reasons for doing so, but there are some really notable current national team members, former national team members that are doing the Masters competition. And I think the biggest name we can all think of is Maddie Rogers. She declared that she's doing the 30 to 35 competition for Masters. Instead of doing American Open Finals this year, so her total will just score for the Masters. Um, Now, We saw a social media post this week from a lifter who is not in our WSO, and she kind of calls out the lifters who are very high level national lifters, international lifters, whatever, and says that it is unethical that they are doing the Masters meet versus American Open finals. And this created quite the stir on social media. There were a lot of posts that were reacting to her initial posts. There were, I mean, it felt like every woman at least was talking about this. Steve, I can't speak to the men on social media, but it felt like it was very popular amongst the women, the female lifters within USA Weightlifting, who had varying opinions on this topic. Steve, I don't know if you want to go into more in depth on
Yeah, I mean,
what the post said, but
I don't think we need to beat around the bush. Her
yeah,
name is Darcy
sure.
Molina. She's a lifter out in the West Coast. I believe she lives for West Coast Weightlifting. And whether you agree or disagree with her, and we can discuss that further. The thing that I appreciated about her was she was genuinely here for the discussion.
Oh,
She,
yeah.
in the initial outset, in the initial aftermath of her post, she was sharing people who were agreeing with her, of which there were some. And then as the day went on, she was also she was taking, I guess, follow up videos and posting that of her addressing some of the concerns or counterpoints that were being raised in her, presumably in her DMs. And she was addressing, their points and why she disagreed with those points. But I mean, she didn't shy away from any, person or conversation or aspect, or she didn't, try to duck any point that was raised because it wasn't convenient for, her
Right.
position. And in fact, when I reached out to her, we had a discussion as well. Like, and she doesn't know me. Like, I am literally a nobody from across the country. But she certainly, I'm sure, on a day like that, was getting tons and tons of messages and did not have to answer any of them. But we had a discussion, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that she's actually going to be willing to come on the show and talk to us about it, because I think that that's the point of, it's similar to the last topic that we discussed. I mean, the point of all this is Abby and I, listen. Well, I'll speak for myself because Abby knows a lot. I don't know everything,
Thank you.
guys. I know I present like I do, and man, I try my best. But there are many things that I don't know, that I haven't considered, and I am open to knowing and considering the things that I have not. And I think what's cool, what I found cool about Darcy was, like, she was immediately open to the idea of coming on the show and answering questions and talking
Yep.
about it, and that's neat, because I think that
Yeah, it's admirable.
that's how this is supposed to work. But in terms of her actual position itself, I guess similar to, in a way, distinct topics, obviously, but similar to the situation with Dylan. I'm more curious than anything else, because in order for Darcy to have done this, there had to have been some, like, motivating factor. There are any number of topics that she could have chosen to, create an Instagram story about and provide her opinion on. But on this day, for some reason, she chose this, and I'm most curious what, like, started that fire. Because
Right.
it's a topic that I hadn't heard, and maybe I'm in the dark a little bit. I hadn't heard anybody else talking about this, but maybe I just missed it. But this was something that she identified and then felt strongly enough about it to, start this conversation. And I think one of the things I want to know is, what prompted that. And I think that could be informative in helping understand the position that she took.
I
What were
agree.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Steve. For starters, I appreciated immediately that she was willing to do this. And again, like, she's never met either of us. She doesn't know our podcast, to my knowledge. Like, Darcy, if
She
you
doesn't,
watch
I
this,
promise.
yeah, cool. But like, I appreciate somebody who is down for the discussion, to Steve's point, and isn't just so, like, stuck in their own, like, stuck upness that they won't do something like this. I don't know. So I appreciated that. I do disagree with her take. Period. And I was I think I was pretty fired up about Steve's point again of where did this even come from? Like what was your motivating factor? And like it's easy to have this knee jerk reaction of well, who do you think you are? To say that you would take a medal away from somebody else. Like oh okay, like um and also to criticize somebody else for doing this competition and comparing it to what really stuck out to me was comparing it to the NFL competing against a college football team. And I have kind of two counterpoints to that being, well, have you ever done a local competition? Like, I know plenty of high level lifters that do local competitions, and I don't think that just because you lift at a national level, it's no longer ethical for you to do a local competition. And second, like, who says that masters weightlifting can't be just as competitive as the open? And I think that's kind of what.
Oh, as a masters lifter, I will lobby that. My bones don't move like they used to. I will pose that is a thing.
but
As
but
you
what
get
I'm
older, it doesn't get better.
But what I'm saying is, like, but why can't, like, Steve's category of master weightlifters, like, why can't they be competitive with one another? Why can't there be somebody who is really, really good in Steve's category? Why can't it be Steve?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, so many
but
reasons. So many reasons.
and furthermore, like, the reason that they have them divided into age categories in the first place is so that some young pup can't just go and compete against somebody whose bodies are drastically different, right? You got the 30 to 35 category for a reason. You have a 35 to 40 category for a reason. Someone who's 37 has a different body than somebody who's 47, right? Like, I guess I'm just not understanding what's so unethical about somebody competing in their own age category in this competition. It's their choice to do so.
Yeah. Again, other questions that I have for Darcy.
Yeah, and we have so many questions that I'd like to ask her directly, of course.
Right,
But
but among them are, and you raised a couple of these points. So her choice of analogy, the NFL versus a college team. In my mind, I understand the point she's trying to make, and I think that there's maybe a little bit better of an analogy, or a more apt analogy. I'm gonna date myself here, but fuck it, I'm old. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it. I haven't followed golf in years, so this may actually not still be the case. But uh, decades ago, back in the '60s when I was growing up, it was
you weren't even born.
yeah, it's true. But it was true that in you could be a golfer in the PGA, and there was also the senior PGA, and obviously people who were too young to be in the senior PGA could not compete in the senior PGA. It was designed for people who had aged out. I don't remember what the age cutoff was, but I don't know, like 50, 55. I don't know what it was, but like 40 maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, if you were in the senior PGA, you could come down and compete in the regular PGA Tour. And there were times, where like, Fred Couples or somebody, Tom Watson would, be in the senior PGA age group, but he would do well in these like, regular PGA events. I understand that golf is a different sport. I'm just making like a age group comparison deal.
Yeah.
And, I don't remember anybody being like, well, Tom Watson was really good at golf. What's he doing? Still playing with the kids? Like, like I don't. I guess the second question I have is on the use of the word ethical, and I agree with you that I guess I struggle to see the ethical dilemma here. Um, in my, I guess I'm curious again what she means by it being an ethical dilemma. I'd like to discuss that with her more. But for me, I don't necessarily see any issue with Maddie Rogers or anybody else. Like you are the age that you are, and that makes you eligible for the things that you are eligible for. And I don't know why the choice for Maddie should be any different just because she's very, very very, very good at this sport,
Yeah,
um, you know, we'll set aside the fact that it's growing awareness and notoriety for the masters age groups, and there are certain lifters. Sarah Tyler, some other folks talked about in their own social media posts the pride that they took when they got to share a podium with XYZ lifter. You know, all of that is cool, but like ultimately, like it comes down to the decision by um, the lifter, Maddie Rogers or whoever else. Darcy now and at some later point, she's a very good lifter. So like she has this opportunity now. She'll have it years from now. She'll still be a very good lifter, as long
right.
as she wants to do the sport. So I don't know, like I don't know why they should have to separate themselves just because they are well accomplished and they've
Agreed.
put a lot of time and effort into the sport. Um, I don't know why that would be, and I'd like to know more about her thought process on that. I think the other thing that is curious to me. Oh shoot, we're gonna have to edit this out. I had it and then I lost it.
You're
Fuck.
okay. You're okay. You're good.
Um, fuck.
It's okay. I
Hold
If
on,
it
give me
comes
a
back to
second.
you, you're good.
Huh? If you have a
I was
thought,
gonna
go ahead.
say
Go ahead. If you
I
have a
have a
thought, go ahead.
thought, and if you think of it, come back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve basically just said like what I feel, but more eloquent. I'm not always the best with words, okay? And I don't see an ethical dilemma with it just because like these are very good lifters competing in the age category that they're allowed to do. Um, what I do find interesting and a little frustrating, and I've talked about this before when we talked about Nationals Week and how I wish that senior nationals was separate from the juniors, the youths, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I miss the days when AO finals was its own thing. And I think it takes away from the I don't want to say the competitiveness because I think AO finals is still competitive. But it makes it's now I'm blanking on the words I want to look for, but I think having this Masters event that's now expanded and at the same venue, I do think it takes away from AO Finals. And I wish AO Finals was just itself on its own and, Maddie would go and compete with, the other Open 77s, and then it would be just all the best lifters all at the same time on the same platform, and I miss the idea of something like that. But that's just me, and I can tell by the look on Steve's face that he thinks I'm ridiculous.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I disagree, and I think that's I, th- I think part of the argument you're making would actually be an argument that Darcy's also making. I think, despite your stated disagreement with her original position, I think
Well,
actually you're coming around. Whether you know it or
but
not,
I'm
you're
but
coming
I'm
around.
not, because I'm not the point is I'm not saying that it's unethical for these seniors who are very good to do the masters competition. What I'm saying is I think that the masters competition is actually taking away from the senior competition because we have these good lifters who are going and doing a separate competition. You know what I mean? Like I wish it was separate. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, um, I don't. Similar. I think we disagreed about this when we were
Yeah, of
discussing.
course we did. Yeah,
But I don't see any problem with combining the events. I think it's honestly probably done for logistical reasons.
probably.
If you're a really good Masters lifter and you can qualify for both American Open Finals and Masters Worlds, you know, and I think this is a unique, probably maybe not a one-time thing, but it's not going to often happen where AO
Right.
Finals just coincidentally happens in the same time when Masters Worlds is happening in the same location.
Sure.
And so if you're a Masters lifter and you have to choose, you're probably only, let's say they were, you know, hosted in two different spots, or like next year, Masters Worlds will be in some other location in the world. You're not going to get to be in two places at once. So why have to choose? And I think despite some of their technical scheduling, organizational issues on the front end, USA Weightlifting has proven capable of holding very large weightlifting meets and doing so relatively fluidly. Um, so I don't know that it's a situation where like USAW is biting off more than they can chew from an
No.
execution standpoint. Now, on the front end, I think we've seen maybe in the start list and the preliminary scheduling
Oh
some things
yeah.
that were left leave something to be desired. But um, I don't have an issue with it only because like I think the point of all this, and this is maybe the reason why ultimately I disagree with with Darcy's position, is I just try to think like big picture, like what are we here for? Like why
Right.
are we doing all of this?
Yeah.
And yes, I understand we compete because we like to be competitive, and the upper tier, the higher, the better you get at this, the more you want to win your age group, your local competition, your national weight class, like all that stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with being competitive. I want people to do that, but certainly as you get older, I would think that the burning desire to win everything at all times, at all costs, dissipates a little bit, just because we have less energy. You'll figure it out. But so I just like I don't have the energy, frankly, to care whether let's say I don't know. I'm going to compete as a 71 at finals, and in a world where like Hampton Morris and I were in the same, like let's say that he was much older than he actually is, and he was competing in my master's age group. I just don't have the energy to care that he's a multi-time Olympian and so incredibly accomplished, and also now like taking a podium spot from me potentially hypothetically. Like I just like that's not why I'm there. I'm not going down there because like this year is going the success or failure of my personal year is going to hinge on whether I win a Masters World title or the American Open Finals, Masters age group, whatever. Like I'm there because I love this sport and
Yeah.
I have a great time lifting with people that I have fun lifting with and competing against. And I just like maybe that's easy for me to say because I've never been competitive at a high level of this sport. Maybe I just don't know what it's like. Maybe it'd be different if I had that perspective. Um, I just I think it like the older you get, the bigger picture becomes more important than
Yeah.
like a hyper focused like right, but like I could have gotten second, but instead I got third because so and so who finished 13th at nationals 3 years ago now is a masters, and like
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I think that's
That's
the
fair.
part for me.
Yeah. And I agree with that point. I have one question for you.
Sure.
When you say people that you enjoy lifting with, does that include me and Chris and Carly?
The text thread that I sometimes regret being on. Yes. Yes, it does. Good
Yay!
usury.
Steve
Yikes.
likes us.
So I think hopefully we can pull this off. Hopefully we can make it
Yeah.
work so that Darcy can come on the show. I think it'll be a great conversation.
Right.
And uh, I just at the end of the day, everybody's still got to show up, and you still got to make your lifts.
And
And
then we have to go to work on Monday.
well, that too. But I mean, like in the competition itself,
Yeah.
like Hampton Morris can show up in my session, and if lightning strikes and he bombs out, then it doesn't matter that he was some Olympic whatever.
Right.
Like you
And
still got to
Steve
make your
still has
lifts.
to make a total. Right. Correct.
Well, I mean, I have to make a total. I'm saying like he has to make a total. So
Everyone has to make a
Matty
total.
Rogers has to make a total. Like you
Yeah.
still have to show up and make the lifts. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Right.
You still like it requires scout talent and skill on that day, and like
Correct.
you know.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Uh,
right.
Speaking of finals, let's preview it. We're going to be in Daytona Beach
Yay!
next week. Do you have any opening thoughts on finals? People you're
Uh,
excited to see?
well, the usual suspects that I've talked about, I'm sure, a million billion times. I'm really excited to see all of my friends for starters. I have a great time every time I get together in the same room as all of my favorite strong gals. Um, I'm excited to see Emma Hoffman lift. I'm excited to see Victoria Freeze lift. One person I'm really, really, really excited is returning to the national platform, Denisha Traver. She had a baby earlier this year, and she did amazing at her first competition back at WSO. And I'm just so, so, so excited to see her compete at AO finals. She's such a fierce competitor, and she always shows up on game day, and she's just altogether a nice person. So she deserves the best, and I'm really, really, really happy that she's still here with us and still competing at such a high level.
Uh, I'll take you into a window into how today went. So for everybody watching this, we're publishing this on Tuesday, but we recorded it on the previous Saturday.
Yep.
So today, this morning was the last heavy day of lifts before I compete. I compete on Thursday at 5 p.m. And this year, I decided to do finals, which I haven't done in a couple of years, but I decided to cut like a decent amount of weight for me anyway for the first time in like 7 or 8 years. Like I haven't cut weight, like had to like actually focus on cutting weight since 69 was a male weight class, whenever that was. So it's been like running up on like a decade since I like had to like really focus.
Yeah.
And man, I made this decision like 2.5 months ago. And so I've been cutting slowly and like trying to do it intelligently, but it has been such a like really like a challenge in a way that I didn't anticipate. Like I
Yeah.
expected it to be hard. Weight cuts are always hard, but like having to reacclimate your body to training while cutting weight gave me an entirely new appreciation for what folks like Chris Camaneris and many others do and do very well because it is very challenging. But anyway, this morning I went into my last heavy day, and let me tell you guys, it was an absolute dumpster fire, an absolute
Oh
like
no, Steve.
abject disaster. It was like like how a baby deer looks when it learns how to snatch for the first time. Like that's what I was like today, and I 100% mean this. This is my favorite part of the sport. My favorite part of the sport is when all the work is done and there's not time to make any strength additions
Yeah.
or technical corrections. Like
It's great.
the hay's in the barn and you just gotta fucking go with what you got. And I cannot wait. I'm either gonna have it on Thursday or I'm not, but the finding out is the best part.
Yeah,
I
Steve's
just
gonna have a good time no matter what.
I just like this is the good stuff, because like right
Yeah.
now I've got so much like fear and anxiety and like I'm gonna let people down, I'm gonna let my coach down, my teammates are gonna be embarrassed to
Oh.
like walk around the platform, walk around the concourse with me, and like they're just gonna that the scene in Game of Thrones where they're like shame, shame, shame.
Yeah.
Like that'll be me as I like walk through the crowd. They're like this guy, he doesn't even know how to lift. Like
Oh,
these
brother,
are all
this
the
guy
things.
stinks.
Yeah, yeah. These are all the thoughts that flow through my head, and I
Right.
imagine that this is what it's not an uncommon thing for people to have because, like, sometimes your last heavy session goes really well and it fills you with confidence. You're like, "Fuck yeah, let's go, let's lift right now." And sometimes you have a really bad last heavy session, and that's really tough to shake. Like, I am fighting every instinct I have to just like go back to the gym tomorrow on a non-programmed day and just like work up in the snatch again just to prove to myself that I can do it. I'm not
Don't do
gonna,
it.
I'm
Don't
not
do it,
gonna,
Steve. Don't
but
do it.
like
Don't do it.
all day today, I've just been like, well, but I mean, I could just go for like 15 minutes. I just do like just the bar and maybe like 50 kilos or maybe 70 kilos.
Steve.
And if it's feeling good,
No.
maybe like 80 or 90.
Bad.
And then maybe we work up to 100. Like
I'm like spraying you like a cat, my cat right now.
I know
Stop.
I'm not gonna
You're
do it. I'm just my
misbehaving.
point is like having to like deal with all of this, like all of the internal thoughts, and just
Yeah.
like trust that like it's gonna be fine. Like I have
It's
not forgotten how to snatch. I will not forget how to snatch in
Nope.
the next 5 days, 6 days, whatever it is.
Yep.
Like, and just like trusting in like myself and my abilities, and like whatever happened today is not going to be the reason why Thursday goes
Yeah.
well, goes poorly, or goes
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle. Like it's just another training day, and like it's only got the weight that I give it. you know?
Yeah.
And it's really easy for me to say that. And as soon as this recording ends, I'm gonna go back to like be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. But like,
Oh,
like this is one of the many reasons why I love the sport, and
yeah.
I just fucking like it is. I can't wait to find out.
Yay! Me
So,
too. Cool.
we've talked a lot this episode, Abby.
We've been yapping.
We've been yapping,
I think that
and
people like it when we yap.
I hope so. They're going to get it whether they like it or not. But if you've got the energy left, and I hope you do, please stay tuned for Cheryl Jackson's interview that's coming up next. We will be back in a couple weeks with AO Finals recap and hopefully at least one guest, maybe more. Maybe we'll yap some more. Who's to say? But for now, everybody have a great week. We'll see you later.
Yay!
All right, everybody. Our special guest today is Cheryl Jackson. Cheryl lifts for DC Weightlifting. She just competed in the Just Strong Open a couple weeks ago, and most impressively, competed after beating cancer. I don't know what the stats are on number of weightlifters who have competed at all after beating cancer, much less just recently. But I think that's pretty awesome. Cheryl, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good. It was weird. I forgot how absolutely drained you are after a meet. So I should have taken off Monday, but I did not. So yeah, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm feeling good.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I want to talk to you about kind of that entire journey. The most recent data point was you competing in Just Strong Open. We'll get to that. But if you don't mind starting out with kind of how did that process begin? Or what were you dealing with, and kind of where did you go from that point?
Sure. So I have been competing for a while, and in late 2023, I was doing what everyone should do and getting my mammogram, my regular checkup. And historically, maybe a little TMI, but historically, I've always had fibroids in my breast. So I knew going in, they were going to find something and I would have to get a sonogram. So not surprisingly, they found something. We're going to do a sonogram. This time when they did the sonogram, they were like, I think we need to do a biopsy. Years ago, I had a biopsy in a particular spot and it was benign at the time. This time they told me they were going to do one in 2 spots, which was concerning. And the type of biopsy they were going to do on the second spot was just a weird positioning, and it was a whole ordeal. So I got the biopsy and I was trying to be positive, but also I kind of had this sinking feeling. My kids were with me. My daughter went with me to the appointment. And in this day and age, you get your results electronically before you ever hear from a doctor. And I was also looking out for them. So I was at work, got the results, and my non-medical brain was trying to sift through all of it, but I saw the word cancer. And we have a wellness room in my office, and I went there and I just cried. And I was like, oh my God. So waited for the radiologist to call. Got the radiologist call. They walked me through, this is what it was. This is what we think it is. But of course, the radiologist is not the doctor. So went back, went through all my, they gave me a list of folks to call. My OBGYN was the one who had me get the mammogram. She called me. She said, here's the breast cancer center. Choose the doctor that you feel safest with, you feel comfortable with. Did all that. Had to tell my kids. They were upset. The only people at that point I had told were my kids, a very, very close friend, 2 people on DC Weightlifting, and my sister. I didn't want anyone else to know until I had everything in place, knew all the details, knew what we were looking at. So I ultimately chose a physician, and she said, thankfully, it was stage 0 to 1. So I caught it very early. It was in the right breast. And she gave me my option. She said, you can do a lumpectomy, you can do a single mastectomy, or double mastectomy. She told me the benefit of the mastectomy for me was, if I opted to do it, was I was a candidate for immediate breast implants, which most people are not, from my understanding. And I could keep my nipples, because a lot of people who get mastectomies lose their nipples. I got to keep them. So talked to my kids, talked to my sister. We decided on the double mastectomy. And then still hadn't told the whole team, specifically Mike. We were planning for Cap City Open. Up until that point, I had not missed a Cap City Open since I started lifting, as either a lifter or being part of DC weightlifting. I've always done Cap City Open. So as with everything going on, one of the most heartbreaking things for me was, am I going to miss Cap City Open? So talked to my doctor. I was also finishing my last semester of grad school at the time. Okay. So I talked to her. She said, we need to schedule the surgery. And I talked to her and I said, how imminent is this? Do I need to get this right away? She's like, why are you asking? I said, this is going to sound weird, but I'm in my last semester of grad school and I would kind of like to finish that out. So we actually scheduled it for the week after my finals for grad school. And I sat down and I talked to Mike in practice because at that point he was only periodically coming in. And I said, I need to talk to you. So I talked to Mike and I feel like I tend to be very stoic. I'm not an openly emotional person. So I felt like he was more upset about it than I was. So I talked to him, told him what was going on, still hadn't told the whole team. And I said, so this is what's going on. I'm going to be out for a while. And one of the things I said, but I can schedule this after Cap City Open. He was like, what is wrong with you? Don't worry about Cap City Open. Go take care of yourself. So, had tons of doctor's appointments. I got the genetic testing. They offered that, thankfully. I didn't carry any cancer gene. I got tested for breast cancer, ovarian, all the things, did not carry any of the genes. I had multiple appointments, had to go see my breast surgeon and a reconstructive surgeon. And I was told at the time that I likely wouldn't need chemo or radiation. So we scheduled the surgery for April 26th of 2024. And Mike, bless his heart, I had to be there at 5 a.m. And Mike drove up there just to be in pre-op with me and my girls while I was waiting to go into surgery. So I love him for that. And I finally did tell the team, I think a couple of weeks before everything went on, and the team was amazing. Dorn Peterson set up a meal train for me, and everyone was giving meals, and they gave me money, which I love. I wasn't expecting that, but they gave all these donations. Had the surgery, had the mastectomy. I was at home with these 2 drains, and it was absolutely miserable. My kids stayed with me, went through recovery. Teammates stopped by to bring me tons of food. I ran out of space for food. They brought me so much food. And finally I told my kids they could put it on the internet, and random strangers on the internet were DMing me and making donations. And it was the weightlifting community was amazing, but it's amazing. As terrible as social media can be sometimes, it can also be very beneficial in a way. Yeah. So you'd be surprised who you're truly connected to and who's paying attention. So I got lots of support. After I recovered, got the drains out, and was able to kind of move, I started to slowly get back into weightlifting, but I had everything from, I developed frozen shoulder, and I had all this soreness and tightness. And then we found out after they tested the lymph nodes that they took out that there was cancer on one of the lymph nodes. So I had to get radiation. So there was 8 weeks of radiation. So again, I had to kind of pull back, stop doing things. That was miserable. But my body handled it better than most people, thankfully. So I got through radiation, and that was late 2024. Okay. So again, I started slowly going back, and I just would show up once a week, twice a week, trying to do things. But there were all these complications. I now have a medication that I take. I have to take that for 10 years. My breast cancer was a hormone-feeding breast cancer, so I had to take these drugs that sort of suppress the body from producing certain hormones, mainly estrogen. And those have a series of side effects. And the first medication I tried made me miserable. Like my whole body was sore. My joints were just excruciatingly, and I was in pain, and I was exhausted. They recently switched me, and I'm feeling a little better, so I started lifting a little more. I picked up a bodybuilding coach, so I'm doing hypertrophy work outside of weightlifting. And I started going back little by little. And after We had a meet after Wizzo's, actually. The team was celebrating. Everyone did well. I volunteered both days, had a good time, and everyone's like, "So you're going to do JSO, right?" I'm like, I don't know about that. I was like, I still can't snatch. Literally 2 weeks before JSO, I tried to snatch, and I was able to snatch the bar and snatch about 20 kilos, and it didn't hurt.
Okay.
Like, it was uncomfortable, but it didn't hurt. And I was like, oh, maybe I can snatch. And so Joe, actually, on the team, saw me. She was like, "You're going to do JSO." She said, "Because I need to practice coaching. So you're going to do." I was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And after a whole lot of bullying from the team, signed up for JSO. They were like, "Just go out there and lift. That's all you got to do." And I actually felt good that day. And it was nice to be back and put on the singlet. And anyone who's been around and actually paid attention, I always wear Wu-Tang socks and a Wu-Tang shirt on lifting day. So pulled out the Wu-Tang socks, pulled out the Wu-Tang shirt, and it was great. It was great to be in the warm-up area. It was great to be doing all the things and lifting. And once I got on the platform, I was like, yeah, I think I'm back in the game. So yeah, it was a long road. Everyone's been really supportive. Once I let the community and everyone else into what was going on, I was hesitant to do that. Everyone was really great. I still deal with some fatigue, some discomfort in the joints. I can't squat because my knees just hurt really, really bad when I hit parallel. But I'm able to at least get the bar up, which at this point, I'm just happy to be able to do that.
Just a truly incredible story, and so much that I want to dive into there. But I clearly, weightlifting is a very important part of your life. The fact that you had done Cap City all those years, and it was so important to you that you felt it necessary to break it to Mike Choi that you weren't going to be able to do it, and I don't know. I don't know what kind of reaction you were expecting, but it was a big deal to you to not be able to do that meet. So I'm curious, how and when did you get into weightlifting, and how did it become, such an important part of who you are and what you do?
Oh, sure. So as a lot of people say, I played sports all my life. I did all the things. I just like sports. I'm a sports girly. Around 2011-ish, I looked at my body in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, I look like shit. Like, I need to get together. So I started doing bodybuilding and weightlifting. And it was a combination of that and a rugby team that I used to play with in Baltimore who dropped in occasionally to do CrossFit, and I knew about CrossFit. So I got into CrossFit, and I 100% drunk the CrossFit Kool-Aid. I was all in that. And at one point in CrossFit, I think it was 2015, I needed help with my snatch and my clean and jerk. And I was not getting that help in the CrossFit community. So I reached out to a gentleman named Mario at OSS. I used to live in Anne Arundel County.
This is Mario Dispenza.
Yes. And I reached out to them because I was like, I need help with my snatch. I just want to drop in. They're like, cool, come drop in. And, weightlifters are very persuasive. And they said, you really just should stop doing CrossFit and do it. I'm like, never.
That is a common thing we tell people. That is a common thing that's a line we drop all the time.
CrossFit forever. And they actually convinced me to do my first meet in 2016. It was a really small meet in Rockville. And my God, the name of the gym escapes me at the moment. It's still around. And it was a super small meet. I think there might have been 10 competitors total. And I did it one time and I was like, this is kind of cool. And for a little while, I was doing both. I was doing CrossFit and weightlifting. I was with OSS. That was my first team. So I stuck with them for a little while. And then I moved to DC and I got an online coach, an old CrossFit coach, gave me training for CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting. And I trained out of District CrossFit. But I did my ref certification. I love reffing. And I was at every meet back in the day. I was reffing, I was a marshal, I was lifting, I was doing all the things, trying to get other people to lift. And then at one point, I said, I think I need a team because I think I want to stop CrossFit and just do weightlifting. And I reached out to Mike. by email. I was like, hey, I think I want to join DC Weightlifting. I live full time in DC now. And I was telling him who I was. He was like, I know who you are. He was like, just come drop in one day. And I joined DC Weightlifting in 2018. And I just love the community. I always joke and say I'm the worst weightlifter on the team, but I love weightlifting. It's not, for me, it's not, I'm not trying to be elite. I'm not trying to get on the podium. I don't care about any of that. I just love lifting. I've been just a diehard Olympic weightlifter forever. I think it's a combination of the community aspect, which is one thing that drew me to CrossFit, but we are a sort of a co-coaching team. We do have 2 programmers and coaches, but we coach each other. And Mike encourages us to learn how to coach, learn how to be a technical official, learn how to run a meet, all the things. And I love all of that about weightlifting. And I think it's that just got me so interested in it, to not only be an athlete in the sport, but be a true participant in the sport in its entirety.
You know, when you get a diagnosis, I can't speak from experience, but just listening to you talk, I imagine when you get, a diagnosis that you've got cancer, and I'm sure there are a ton of thoughts, flowing through your brain in those first couple of weeks, maybe first couple of months. And I imagine that in the grand scheme of things, weightlifting was not, among your top priorities, at that time. But I guess as you're going through the entire the entire process to include the recovery stage, what were the parts of that? I guess maybe specifically as it pertains to weightlifting, the parts that you were expecting, and maybe some of the parts that you weren't expecting that kind of caught you off guard that you had to navigate.
Some of the things that I was expecting, I oddly didn't expect the level of support I got. I didn't think everyone was going to be like, oh my God, she's sick now, let's leave her alone. Okay. But the level of support I got in the community, even from people that, because the community, like sure. You see people all the time and you don't speak to them outside of a meet. When you see them at the meet, it's like you saw them 5 minutes ago. But I didn't expect that level of support. I didn't expect it to have the impact that it did on my body in its entirety. Like, I was so focused on the breast in that area, it didn't dawn on me that this can radiate to other places. Like, I wasn't expecting to have to take a medication that's going to cause joint pain. And now I hate squatting anyway, full disclosure. I know people will flame me for that, but I've always hated squatting, but now I can't. So it's like, wow, maybe I don't hate squatting so much. But I literally cannot do that. Like, it's because it's just so uncomfortable. And it's sort of like, you hear the stories, and I was doom scrolling through the Reddit forums and through YouTube about everyone's experiences and I put myself in this worst case scenario situation. So I was expecting the worst, but I got the better outcome. But from the lifting perspective, a lot of the things that I took for granted that I was able to do, just a push press and a lateral raise, and not being able to do that, I didn't think, oh, I'm having this breast surgery and it's going to impact the entirety of my body. So I think that was the thing I wasn't expecting, and it was difficult to try to navigate and tackle.
Were there, whether it's just in terms of how to navigate the process of going through the cancer itself, or the process of trying to remain active while going through all that, were there resources that you found that other folks that are out there that might be going through the same thing or something similar might find helpful?
One thing I can tell folks is, and we all do it, if you get a headache, you go to the internet and all of a sudden you're dying. Right. I would say resources that I found helpful is, as odd as it sounds, Reddit. There's a forum for everything on Reddit, but I found a great community of folks on Reddit, women who have gone through it, who had great advice on, there were even people who lifted in there, like, hey, this is what I did after my surgery, or this is how I got through radiation, or this is how I got through chemo. Other resources that I found is dig deep in the community. We talk to each other and we say, oh, I do this for a living. I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse. Tap into those folks and say, hey, this is what's going on. Do you know anyone? Do you have anyone you can recommend to me? Do you have any resources for physical therapy? I do it through my hospital, but 100% reach out to the community, because I have found there's actually a physical therapy facility next door to my office, near Union Station. They helped me when I had a torn labrum in my hip. But I found out that, hey, there's also someone here who deals with people going through cancer recovery and all the impacts that could have. So I would say the best thing you can do is don't be afraid to reach out to people and inquire, because even if they don't know something, they may know someone who does. So I kept it close to the vest for a long time. I don't necessarily regret that. But to some degree, I wish I had opened up earlier, because letting people in to support you is a huge benefit when you're going through something like that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I want to kind of circle back to the run up to Just Strong Open. People, everybody, I don't care how long you've been competing, everybody gets nerves and anxiety to some degree about any meet that they do. I imagine that it is an entirely different thing to be preparing for a meet, and the nerves and anxiety might be a little bit different when it's your first meet back after, battling and defeating cancer. Can you talk to me about it? You mentioned, you just snatched for the first time 2 weeks before the meet. How were you feeling in the run up to that meet? You've done meets before, but it had to have been a little bit different for you.
I was low key anxious, and it was so. Again, I'm not an elite lifter by any stretch of the imagination. Never have been. But I think part of my hesitation to compete, and I mentioned this to a couple of my teammates, was as I was leading up to it, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to hurt myself. Oh, I'm going to, not be able to get the bar up. I was so focused on the athlete that I was before cancer that there was a little bit of self-shame in going out there and only putting a couple of marshmallows on the bar. And so my highest snatch that day was 30 kilos. And at the time I was thinking about it, I was like, it wasn't even my opener before all this happened. But when I did it, it felt good. So leading up to it, I was nervous and anxious, but not for the same reason I was historically nervous and anxious, because I wasn't trying to qualify for anything. It wasn't anything like that. So I was definitely nervous. I was definitely anxious. When I got to the gym that day, I was like, oh, I'm ready to go. But then as I found myself pacing back and forth, even though I wasn't coaching myself. I was counting lifts, and I was looking at everyone else and seeing where I was. And I was getting more and more anxious and nervous as my session was about to start. So I was probably internally more nervous than I let on, but for totally different reasons than what I normally am.
And how did the meet go? I mean, I was there. I don't want to spoil it. It's your story to tell. But how did the meet go for you?
It went good. And actually, when I hit 30 on the snatch, I turned around and I walked off, and I looked at Joe and I was like, damn, I should have put more weight on the bar. It felt, because I lifted up, I was like, that is light. And I, up until that point, post-cancer, had not put 30 kilos on a bar and snatched it. The most I had snatched leading up to that meet, I think, was 27 or 28 kilos. And I was like, well, that's probably the most I'm going to do. And the clean and jerk, the same thing. Because I'm always more confident in my clean and jerk. And I was like, let's go up. Let's put more on the bar. And I almost told her to do 40. And I was like, that's a big jump. We'll keep the little jumps. But yeah, it felt great to hear the cheers in the crowd again, to hear people yelling your name and hear my teammates and have them supporting me. And they were just so happy that I was doing it again. They were just ecstatic. So that felt very good. So the whole meet went very well for me.
Great. And now that you've gotten that first one out of the way, what do you have planned next? Are you already signed up for something else? Are you trying to train for a little bit before you get back into it? What do you have in store?
Baltimore Open is on the radar. Okay. There's a personal thing that just came up that may prohibit me from doing that. But that's another meet I've historically, because again, it was originally OSS's meet. Sure. I've always done, well, that was the last meet I did before cancer. So I kind of want to do that. If I don't do that, then I'm looking at something probably in the spring. But yeah, I'm definitely going to sign up for another meet, and Baltimore Open is tentative.
Okay. I'm obligated per my agreement with Mike Choi to ask, will you be competing in Cap City?
Well, I will be. Our team runs it, so I will be organizing Cap
All right.
City.
Fair enough.
No, no,
Fair enough.
I'll be lifting in Cap City. So
You'll be involved. You'll be involved in the meet. All
oh
right.
yeah, we're already planning it, so it's already sanctioned. So if you haven't signed, if you're ready to sign up.
So I mean, Cheryl, it is clear that you have always, well, not always, but since you got into weightlifting, you have loved the sport, and I'm curious if the process of the past, couple of years has um, developed any like distinct way that you love this. Like that's a clumsy way of asking the question. You've always loved it. Do you find that you love the sport in a different way now than maybe you had previously?
Yes, 100%. I loved it before, primarily from a competitive aspect. I love competing. I love competing in all the things. I'm on the wellness committee at work, and I competed in the 10K challenge and got pissed because 3 people beat me. But now post cancer, I've always focused on the community aspect, but even more so now. So now when I encourage folks to get involved, I do it from a couple of aspects. I do it from it's not just about competing, it's about enjoying lifting a barbell, particularly when it comes to women. I'm like, you need to get under a barbell. It's good for you, it's beneficial to your health. But also I tell people this community is just great. It's supportive, it's encouraging. If you don't feel seen or you don't feel supported, reach out to folks who you want to connect with. Everyone's always open, everyone's always welcoming. And I think as a sport, particularly when you become an adult, when it's hard to find athletic things to get involved in outside of running turkey trots and 10Ks all the time, it's a great environment to be in. And because the community is so supportive, it encourages you to continue lifting and makes it more enjoyable for you. Because I've talked to folks who, I don't want to lift weights, I don't want to do that. But then they'll get involved in something like Olympic weightlifting and like, oh, that's fun. Not necessarily because it's fun because I like lifting the weight. It's fun because the community makes me enjoy participating. And that participation just happens to involve lifting the weight.
That's awesome. Cheryl, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Any other thoughts, advice, wisdom you want to share to our community, given your experiences?
My advice to everyone is a couple things. One, I am a fitness gym fanatic. So first of all, get out and move and do something, preferably Olympic weightlifting, but do something, because when we get older, I learned this, as you know, the hard way, but you just don't know what life's going to present to you. So and my doctors always tell me this, that me being so active made my recovery probably a lot easier than it would have been for most people. And my motivation to go back to being active also helped. Get out, be active. My second thing for folks is, if you're in the community, get involved in the community. I used to be the person that would go in, do my thing, and leave. It became so much more enjoyable when I started connecting to people and really immersed myself in the team and got involved in planning meets. And third thing, become a technical official.
Okay.
I love being a technical official. So please do that, volunteer, because that also supports the community.
Just briefly, just for anyone who isn't aware of what exactly a technical official is or does, pitch that, sell it to them real quick.
When you go into a team on DC Weightlifting, it's required. You need to get your local ref certification. When you do it on a national level, you learn all the things. You're a marshal, you're a timekeeper, you're a weigh-in person, loading is part of that as well. I hate loading. Don't tell nobody I said that. But it's what you want to do, and it's what helps the meets run. You need someone to sit in there and give you that red or white light. You need someone to shift the cards and to make sure people are changing your weights in a timely fashion. This is all part of what makes the community run. So even if you do it on a local level, although I encourage it on a national level because it's fun to go to national meets, everyone should be involved as a technical official. It is a very huge and important and necessary part of the sport.
And there it is. Cheryl Jackson, such an incredible champion for what weightlifting is and what it's supposed to mean for us and do for us. Thank you so much again for joining us. Everybody, that wraps up this episode of Soft Elbows. We will see you after we'll see you after the American Open Finals. All right, everybody. Have a great time.